It's only day 2. We already have ourselves a major scare at fall camp. Where's Wingo? Spoiler alert, he's okay. We've got the latest intel and big takeaways from day 2 of Texas fall camp on today's episode of Locked On Longhorns. Intro.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are locked on to the Texas Longhorns. I'm your host, BK Brad Kellner, Texas grad, Austin local, and longtime sports radio host here in the Lone Star State. Thank you for making Locked On Longhorns a part of your day every single day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well. Please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and remember to leave a comment. That's one of the fastest ways to help us grow right here on Locked On, your team every day. The biggest takeaway from day 2 of Texas fall camp was the absence of star wide receiver Ryan Wingo, who was at practice yesterday and was great at practice yesterday. And he drew a bunch of praise from Coach Sark in Sark's post-practice presser yesterday. It was a bit of a surprise to not see Ryan Wingo out there today. Once again, the media had a 1-hour viewing window of practice. And one of the first things that everybody who was in attendance noticed was Ryan Wingo wasn't there. And when word got out that Ryan Wingo wasn't there, people started freaking out and getting flashbacks to Isaiah Nayor and Troy O'Meary. What's going on? Is something wrong? Where's Ryan Wingo? Is the season already over before it started? Well, according to a source, and now according to multiple sources, Ryan Wingo missed practice today for personal reasons and, quote, it's nothing serious, end quote. So that's the good news right there. Still waiting for a little bit more information on what exactly was going on and what exactly those personal reasons are. Hopefully everything's okay with Ryan and his family. But, yeah, again, a big surprise and a bit of a scare. I'll say a major scare for Longhorn Nation when we heard that Ryan Wingo wasn't out there on just the second day of fall practice. They haven't even put the pads on yet. And you're fearing the worst when you hear something like that. But again, it sounds like everything is fine with Ryan Wingo. DJ Campbell also missed practice today for the same thing. So no number 1 wide receiver, no starting right guard, and of course the only returner on your offensive line. People read that news and it's like, uh-oh, what's going on? Sounds like everything is fine. Again, still waiting on a little bit more information on what's happening, but hopefully there's no need for major panic right now. So there's the lead right there. We've got a number of other takeaways and observations from practice number 2. We also have some sound from Steve Sarkisian's availability after practice number 1. So a lot to get into on a Thursday edition of Locked On Longhorns. Once again, guys, we're in helmets and shorts today. Not to spend too much time on the weather again, but it was hot again, and it is right now here in Austin, Texas. You know, yesterday we talked about watermelon slices being handed out to the players during practice. Today, another cool note, pun intended, Texas has turned an old shipping container into a refrigerator to cool off players in the middle of practice. Guys, if they're getting crushed by the heat, they could step inside that shipping container, cool down for a little bit, and then get right back out there. Easy for me to say. So the Longhorns doing what they need to do to make sure that players are staying cool. Cramps have been a bit of a storyline for a couple of different players. Defensive lineman Travis Shaw went down with some cramps today. Anthony Smith, the second-year linebacker, actually dealt with some cramping yesterday, and he was a pretty limited participant in practice today. Like, it's triple-digit temps, and when you're on that turf out there, it's like 105, 110 for those guys on that surface. So, yeah, nothing you could do about the weather here in Austin, Texas at the end of July and at the start of August. That's just something that the guys are going to have to deal with. But cool nugget there on what Texas is doing to keep its guys fresh. So because of the absence of Ryan Wingo and DJ Campbell today, we had some differences on the depth chart. And we'll start at wide receiver. With Wingo out, Parker Livingston and Emmett Mosley were getting more reps with the number 1 offense today. Of course, you had DeAndre Moore there as well. And DeAndre was spending a lot of time coaching up the younger guys today, too. Kind of a cool bit. He's only in his 3rd year, a redshirt sophomore. at Texas, but one of the elder statesmen in that receiving room. He's doing a good job of bringing the young guys up to speed. Another great day for Parker Livingston, and more praise from Steve Sarkisian and Chris Jackson. A lot of the work that he's doing is against air right now. Yeah, there's some offense versus defense drills, but a lot of it is, running routes against nobody. But a lot of praise for Parker Livingston with that route running. It's precise, it's crisp. He's not flat on his routes. His cuts are strong. Again, not going up against the defense much, but he just looks smooth and under control. And it's 2 days in a row that his head coach and his wide receivers coach have praised him multiple times audibly during practice, just singling him out and pointing out the job that he is doing. I'm telling y'all, Parker Livingston is going to be a factor. There's a chance he's the second best wide receiver on this team when this year is all said and done. No disrespect to DeAndre Moore. No disrespect to Emmett Mosley V. I'm excited about those guys. Those dudes are going to be major factors in this offense as well. But I am just that pumped about Parker Livingston and the way he looked in the spring. Sounds like he had a great summer as well. And again, just at every turn, he's getting rave reviews from coaches and teammates and from insiders who are out there at these practices. Parker Livingston has been turning heads so far. DeAndre Moore had a really good day as well. Again, coaching up some of the younger guys, but doing his thing on the field during drills as well. So that's sort of the change with the wide receiver room with no Wingo today. Then you look at the offensive line with DJ Campbell out. Some shifting going on up front for Kyle Flood and company. Cole Hudson, who was the number one center on day one, actually moved to right guard. Most of his Texas experience has been at right guard. So he shifted over a slot. And then Connor Robertson was the guy getting reps at center with the first team offense today. That's interesting. Is Connor Robertson the quote-unquote sixth man on this offensive line, at least for the interior of the offensive line? Robertson, one of the elder statesmen. If you remember, I know you try to forget, at least I try to forget, the game against Oklahoma a couple of years ago. Jake Majors got hurt in that one. Connor Robertson came in, played pretty well as a freshman, considering the circumstances. But, he's a little bit older than some of the guys who are on that second team offensive line. But I think it is noteworthy that Connor Robertson is ahead of Nate Kibble and Connor Stroh. And, if something were to happen to DJ Campbell, again, it's one practice and it's the second day of practice. So maybe I'm being irresponsible here, drawing conclusions. But with no Campbell today, it was Hudson moving over to right guard, and it was Connor Robertson going to center. So that's worth pointing out for sure. And again, DJ Campbell, we'll see when he can return to practice. A couple of other injury nuggets for the second day in a row. No Jonah Williams and no Cade Phillips. Both of those guys battling lingering hamstring issues. Of course, Jonah Williams stems from his time playing baseball in the spring. Would love to get that guy on the field as soon as possible. And man, he's such a stud. He's such a freak. But injuries have plagued him early on in his Texas athletics career. Again, had to miss some time during the baseball season. Actually got hurt in high school and was recovering from a collarbone injury at the start of his Texas career. That's why he missed the beginning of the Texas baseball season. Then came back, dealt with the hamstring injury. Now it's a soft tissue issue, if you will, that is lingering, and those things tend to do that. So I'm hoping Jonah Williams can put that behind him. No problems with the coaches slow playing things, just to make sure he's 100% before getting him out there 30 days away from game one. You don't need him right now. And then Cade Phillips, again, also nursing a lingering hamstring issue. Levon Johnson, the transfer defensive lineman from Maryland, he's still limited. He had a heavily taped ankle/foot today, so haven't seen a lot from one of the 5 transfer defensive linemen. The other 4 guys have all been out there doing their thing. I mentioned earlier Travis Shaw, one of those transfer D linemen, went down at one point during practice today. Trainers came out. It looked like cramping. Didn't look like anything serious for him, but that ended his day a little bit early. And then also Ty Anthony Smith was held out for the cramping that he dealt with yesterday. So maybe something, bled into today, or they just wanted to keep him out for precautionary reasons. So there you go. There's the latest on the injury front. Again, personal issues causing Ryan Wingo and DJ Campbell to miss practice. We'll see if those guys are back out there soon. But obviously some extra opportunities for some of the younger guys in that wide receiver room and in the offensive line room as well. Sounds like some of those guys made the most of them. And we'll talk about some of the other observations. We'll get into the running backs. We'll talk about some of these freshman receivers who saw a few more reps today. Good things with a couple of the early enrollee freshmen that maybe weren't quite ready to go in the spring, that seemingly have figured some things out in the fall, and a continuation of maybe the biggest story from day one of Texas spring practice. We'll get to all of it as we continue here on a Thursday edition of Locked On Longhorns. Oh, but first, if you're trying to stay on top of your routine, whether that's workouts, long days on campus, long days at work, whatever you're trying to do, hydration is where it all starts. We're just talking about these red hot temps here in Austin, Texas, and some of the cramping that the Longhorn players have been dealing with. That's where Drip Drop comes in. Maybe Sark needs to make a call to these guys and help out with the hydration. Drip Drop, is doctor developed and scientifically proven for fast hydration. Uses the perfect balance of sodium, electrolytes, and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of the leading sports drink. So you're ingesting the good stuff. You're not taking in the bad stuff. That's what separates Drip Drop from some of the other options out there. This should be your go-to on these long summer days here in the state of Texas, or if you're just working out, whatever you need to get through your day, keep your hydration strong with Drip Drop. And right now, they are offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. Just head over to dripdrop.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege. Again, dripdrop.com, that's the website, the promo code LOCKEDONCollege, and you're going to get 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard. All right, back here on Locked On Longhorns, your team every day. Let's continue with the biggest news, notes, and nuggets from the second day of Texas fall camp. Once again, 30 days away from kickoff. Texas at Ohio State. Not that we're counting. Also want to hear from y'all. Should have mentioned this in the first segment. Your thoughts, your takeaways, what you want to hear more about from Texas fall camp. We've got you covered all month and, of course, all season long. We'll start this segment with some running back chatter. And interesting, the order of running backs going through drills. C.J. Baxter was the first guy in most of the drills for Texas today. Trey Wisner was second, Christian Clark third, Jarrett Gibson 4. And we spent a lot of time on yesterday's show talking about C.J. Baxter. We actually have some sound from Steve Sarkisian that will play in today's third segment, giving an injury update on C.J. Baxter. But he's been out there a lot. And this coaching staff, and Steve Sarkisian specifically, loves C.J. Baxter. We've known that from pretty much the moment Baxter stepped foot on the 40 acres a couple of years ago. Sounds like things are going well. He's still rocking that big knee brace on that surgically repaired right knee, but he's out there a lot. And I was told by a source that he looks damn good. I know they're not in pads, but he looks smooth out there right now. Going through the gauntlet drills, making some nice cuts. He looks better than I expected. He looks better than I think a lot of people envisioned at this point. And I don't think he's that far off. The question is, do you push C.J. Baxter to be able to play in that Ohio State game 30 days from now? Or, do you slow play him a little bit? Hey, you've got enough with Wisner and Gibson and Clark. You feel good about those guys helping you win a game in Columbus, and then weeks 2 through 4 are against some easier opponents. So maybe you can ease him into the year and make sure he's ready to go by that SEC opener against Florida in early October. I don't know. And from what I've heard, like if C.J. Baxter didn't have that brace on, and if you didn't know he was recovering from a serious injury, it would have looked like he was damn near 100% today. That's what I was told. So great news on the C.J. Baxter front. Again, it's a big decision. And I know this wasn't at Texas, but you look at what happened to Jonathan Brooks. His first ACL tear, obviously, was at Texas, the end of the 2023 season. Gets drafted by the Panthers. I didn't think they rushed him back, but clearly they rushed him back because, like, right after he came back, he retore that same ACL, and he missed the rest of last season, and now he's got to miss all of this season. So everyone's body is different, but I wonder if that's in the back of Sark's mind. That's in the back of my mind in terms of the timeline for C.J. Baxter. Great to hear that he looks good, but, big decisions coming for Steve Sarkisian and running backs coach Chad Scott. Just glad they have a decision to make. Some other positive updates. Alex January and Murad Watson got more reps with the ones today on the defensive line. You had Hero Canoe in there as well, Cole Brevard, Travis Shaw. Those guys are doing a lot of rotating right now. Justice Terry, and man, more praise for Josiah Sharma today. The true freshman, early enrollee defensive tackle. That is a big dude, but he's got some twitch to him. He's one of those first guy off the bus guys, but it's not just a big body who, just looks like a big human. He can move too. He is a freak athlete. And man, I heard from multiple people today that he's going to be hard to leave on the sideline. I know Texas went out and added 5 veterans from the portal, and they've got Alex January and they've got Melvin Hills coming back. Of course, Justice Terry was a little higher rated on the recruiting trail, but Josiah Sharma, he's one of those guys, again, that might force his way onto the field early in his Texas career. Some other praise. I know no one wants to talk about the punter, but we got to talk about the punter. Jack Bowmeister is awesome. He is awesome. And it's multiple people I've talked to and multiple insider sites that I've read that are like, dude, Jack Bowmeister's incredible. Like, I even heard a Michael Dixon comparison today, which is whoa. Talking about the greatest punter in Texas history, a guy who won a bowl game MVP because he's so damn good at his job, and a guy who's making a lot of money with the Seattle Seahawks to do what he does best. But, Texas did not have much in the punting game last year. Sounds like they have upgraded in a big way for the 2025 season. I teased some wide receiver conversation. Michael Terry and Jamie French both had really good days. Did see that Dalen McCutcheon had a drop. It's all right. It happens. Get him out of the way now. But Michael Terry and Jamie French, 2 of the 4 really highly touted wide receivers that Texas signed in the class of 2025, those guys were great today, and those guys have taken big steps. They, at times, looked a little out of place during the spring, for lack of a better phrase. They looked like the game was maybe moving too fast for them, and they just weren't quite where they needed to be. Well, good news is that was in the spring. Here we're in the fall, and it sounds like, those guys have taken big strides. And there's that competition in that wide receiver room. Iron sharpens iron. It's going to be tough to get playing time, and that rotation is generally pretty small at that spot. So you got to earn your keep if you're trying to play receiver in this Steve Sarkisian offense. Those guys put in the work over the summer, and it sounds like it is paying off so far in the fall. The Cal transfer tight end, Jack Andrews, made another nice catch. I keep hearing the word smooth used to describe Andrews. He's not the most physically imposing guy, 6'4", 240 or so. That's plenty big enough for a tight end, but he's not a first guy off the bus player. But he just looks smooth running his routes. He's got great hands. And I think as practice progresses, it's only his second practice as a Longhorn, I think we're going to see and hear a lot more about Jack Andrews, who's going to be this team's #1 tight end. Arch Manning looks sharp once again. More praise on the deep balls that he's throwing. Trey Owens, I heard, not the best day for him, but high praise for Arch Manning. High praise for KJ Lacey, the freshman quarterback that Texas signed in this 2025 class. So a lot of good things from the quarterbacks. Good praise for Matthew Caldwell as well. Again, trying to figure out the backup quarterback competition. Everyone wants to talk about Arch, but QB2 could play a big role into the Horn's success here in 2025. No decision yet from Steve Sarkisian. Will it be Matthew Caldwell? Will it be Trey Owens? I don't think KJ Lacey's really in the mix, but hey, he's getting reps, and so far so good with the true freshman signal caller. Some of the same things from day one, but worth bringing up again. Grayson Littleton, another freshman, the 4-star corner, still getting work with the #1 defense at nickel. Again, it's been Michael Taff and Jelani McDonald at safety, Manny Muhammad at Jalen Gilbo at the outside corners. No surprises. Those guys have been here for a long time, and they've been very good. But it's Grayson Littleton who's getting so much run. I didn't expect him to be with the twos. And he's, for the second day in a row, with that starting defense at the nickel spot, which is a hugely important position in this Texas defense. So it's real. Again, it's only 2 practices, but 2's double one. One, it's like, interesting. But the second time it happens, there might be something there. We'll continue to monitor that. But shout out Grayson Littleton, man. What an impact he is making early on. And this coaching staff's not scared to play young guys. If you're the best at your position, they'll get you out on the field. It's a true meritocracy on this team. We've seen it with a lot of freshman defenders in the last couple of seasons, namely Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons. Grayson Littleton might be that guy this year. Punt returners, DeAndre Moore was the number one punt returner. Ryan Niblett and Dalen McCutcheon were back there as well. Those were the three guys on day one. Those were the three guys on day two. And then Nick Brooks still working with the threes. It's weird to me. Maybe he's still in the doghouse for the arrest in the offseason, but a lot of high praise from that guy for what he did in the spring. And most people were thinking he's going to be like with the twos fighting for a spot as a starter. And to this point, still has been running with the third team offensive line. So there you go. One more quick nugget. Things that I like. Texas has been spending a lot of time working on ball security drills on offense. That's important. And they're also doing a lot of scoop and score and pick six drills on defense. So emphasizing takeaways, but not just taking the ball away, going to score after you do that, because those are game-changing plays if you can put up points as a defense. So the Longhorns really drilling those points home, ball security on offense, takeaways on defense, and turning those takeaways into points. All good things. And shout out to Texas basketball coach Sean Miller, who was in attendance today. All right, those are your nuggets. Now let's let you hear from the coach. Steve Sarkisian held a mini availability last night after day one of practice. We got Sark's thoughts on C.J. Baxter, Derek Williams Jr., and the aforementioned Grayson Littleton coming up next right here on Locked On Longhorns. All right, welcome back to Locked On Longhorns, your team every day, final segment of a Thursday night show. Normally we post these a little bit earlier, but again, wanted to compile a bunch of practice notes and observations and get y'all a few takeaways. So appreciate y'all watching or listening at a later time. But let's let you hear from the head coach, some sound from Steve Sarkisian. We'll start with some injury updates, if you will. Now, C.J. Baxter and Derek Williams Jr. have both been out there for the first 2 days of practice, but they're both coming off of serious knee injuries that cost them significant portions of 2024. Here's Sark after day one talking about those two.
I'll be honest with you. I think they both look really good. Derek, I felt maybe a little better than C.J. just kind of watching summer, and he looked really good today. CJ, I would probably say, was better than I was anticipating, especially when we got into team periods. He hit a couple runs that were very encouraging to me. Because a lot of times when you're coming off a knee injury, significant knee injury like those guys, physically you're ready. It's the mental side of the game, right? Of what does that feel like? And I'm a runner, and now I got to run between these 4 300-pounders, and the hole doesn't look big enough for me to get through, but I got to try to get through it. It's a psyche thing, and I thought CJ's psyche looked really good today running the ball, and so I was definitely encouraged by that.
So high praise there for both of those players. And obviously Sark spent a lot of time talking about C.J. Baxter being kind of ahead of schedule and better than he envisioned. And I like him talking about that psyche, right? Like, obviously, you have to physically recover from a serious injury like that, but a lot of it's mental, just trusting in yourself and not being scared. Like the last time C.J. Baxter was practicing before yesterday, he tore up his knee and had to miss the entirety of last season because of it. So it's reasonable for a player to be like a little nervous and a little hesitant out there. Like, oh God, you get that PTSD creeping in. And it sounds like C.J. Baxter hasn't had that at all. So mentally, he's sharp. He's where he needs to be. And again, physically, he continues to recover. But again, it's that brace is there. That makes it obvious. But just about everything else that we've seen and heard about from C.J. Baxter over his first 2 days of practice make you think that this guy is not rehabbing a serious knee injury. So love that update. You get 100% C.J. Baxter with Quintravion Wisner following up on his 1,000-yard season. You've got Christian Clark off of his torn Achilles. He's looked pretty good so far as well. Jarrett Gibson going into year 2. It's one of the deepest, if not the deepest, running back room in all of college football. And you're trying to break in a new quarterback. A quarterback's best friend is a strong run game. Texas has that this year. They've got a bunch of horses in the stable in the backfield. Should be fun to watch. And then Derek Williams Jr., fighting with Jelani McDonald for that other starting safety spot next to Michael Taft. I'm a huge Derek Williams Jr. fan. If he's back to 100%, I think he's your best option. Again, opposite of Taft. He's a stud. He was off to a great start last year. was having a great game against OU, had an interception against the Sooners before he got hurt and didn't return the rest of the year. I love his game, man. I think that dude is just a warrior out there and a difference maker. And yeah, I hope he's back to what he was before the injury. Another one of those guys you wonder if PK and company are going to ease him in, or if they are just going to let him off the leash and take the training wheels off and say, hey, you're ready to go for week 1 in the shoe. You're going up against maybe the best crop of receivers in college football. So that'll be a tough test, but you need all hands on deck. One more for Sark before we get out of here. Grayson Littleton, again, the biggest story from day one, and maybe the biggest story outside of some absences from the first 2 days of camp, the emergence of true freshman corner Grayson Littleton. Here's Steve Sarkisian talking about what he's done so far.
Grayson Littleton, for us, this guy had a great spring. I feel like I talked about him a lot, and maybe not fair to him because I was talking about him too much. But he just comes back and he works. He's very savvy. He's smart. He's tough. He works at his craft. Football is the most important thing in his life, and it shows. And he came out and had a good day today. You can coach him hard. He takes hard coaching. He responds. He tries to get better. So it's a good start for him of where he's at.
There you go. Grayson Littleton had a great spring, and it's not revisionist history from Steve Sarkisian. He was praising Littleton a lot during the spring, and it seems like that's carried over through the summer and into the fall as well. So love to hear it, man. Love to hear it with Grayson Littleton doing everything right. And you just think about how talented this roster is. Like, in 2021, it would have been pretty impressive for a true freshman to start on Texas. And they went 5-7 that year. They were awful. You think about what this team has. Yeah, I know they had 12 guys drafted a few months ago. This team is loaded with talent and loaded with guys who have been here 2, 3, and 4 years that should be well ahead of Grayson Littleton on the depth chart. Yet here he is. Again, Michael Taft going into year 5, Jelani McDonald year 4, Muhammad year 3, Gilbo's year 4. You've got those are the guys that he's playing with in the secondary right now. And Littleton getting reps with the ones ahead of a few others who have been here for a crooked numbers worth of seasons. They'll play you if you're good. And God, it's just crazy on a defense that was one of the best in college football last year and should be one of the best again this year. That guy is running with the starters. Massively impressive for Grayson Littleton. So tip of the cap to you, sir. Hopefully the success keeps coming, and hopefully he continues to get better. And that's just another depth piece in this Texas secondary that I didn't think they would have this early in his career, but apparently they do. All right, there you go. That's going to do it for today's show. If you made it this far, number 1, thank you very much. Number 2, please remember to like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a comment. Really appreciate y'all's continued support of everything we're building here on Locked On Longhorns. Y'all are the most important part of the show. Thanks for tuning in. For your next listen, be sure to check out Locked On Bets with my man Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers. They are your one-stop shop for all of your sports betting needs, expert analysis, game picks, the lock of the day. They've got you covered. Find Locked On Bets on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. More training camp takeaways, more coaches sound. We'll have sound from some of the players as well on tomorrow's show. Well, yeah, we've got you covered all camp long leading up to game 1 against Ohio State just 30 days from now. Did I mention that already? Yeah, 30 days from kickoff in Columbus. But until next time, horns up, mic's off. We'll see y'all soon. This is Locked On Longhorns.